everybody, it's Kelsee Briana J, and today I'm doing one of my favorite videos that I look forward to every single year, and that is my least favorite products of the year, or the worst products in my opinion of 2020. So y'all know this year has been a weird one, and as a result of that, I tried a little bit less makeup than I typically do. So because I tried less, that means that I have a shorter amount of fails, on my list. But that does not negate the fact that there were some epic failures this year. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. So I've categorized it. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to kind of scoot over and insert pictures because if something is bad, it's got to go. I cannot keep it in my collection. I don't want to look at it. You get out of my sight, out of mind, and I only think about it one more time, and that is for the end of year fails video. So let's go ahead and do what it do. Let me know some of the products that you absolutely hated this year. And disclaimer, because we all have to do one, if you love any of the products that I'm talking about, please do not take offense. It is not personal. It's just me saying that I personally don't like it, but that doesn't mean that it is bad for everybody because everybody has different tastes, different strokes for different folks. So let's go ahead and do it, and I hope that you all enjoy. Let's get into foundations first, okay? Because that is the foundation of makeup. So let's go ahead and jump right into that category. And the first foundation that I technically tried last year, but because it was after my cutoff date, I give myself a date to cut off if something's going to be in my favorites and fails by December 15th. So since I tried it after that, this particular product rolled into this video, and this one is the Bite Beauty Change Maker Foundation. I love so many products from Bite Beauty, but this one was not one of them. This foundation was kind of weird because it was thick and it was thin at the same time. It was like slim thick. And I'm like, okay, is this going to be just an everyday type foundation where I don't need to expect to have perfection? It didn't even give me the bare minimum of what I was looking for. It was a thick foundation, but I still saw all of my imperfections through it. And that is what I hate about foundations. It's like if it feels thick, then I want it to look thick at the same time because I know how to manipulate a product to get it to be a little bit more sheer and build it up if I need to. But this foundation felt like I built up all the layers on my face, but then I still saw anything that was wrong with it underneath it. And I'm like, what? Why? Why do I need to feel this on my skin and I'm not even reaping the benefits of it? And then on top of that, this foundation oxidized so freaking bad. So I put it on 1 hour and 2 hours later, it looked like I had on a completely different color. It just looked awful. It literally looked like I went outside, had on the foundation, sweated a little bit, but then also got sunburnt in the midst of me being outside. So I just was not here for that foundation. I didn't like the way that it felt. I didn't like the way that it made me feel. And so therefore, it ended up on the failures list because it was an epic fail. So next on the list is the Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation. I just could never get into that one. When I was trying it out, I was like, okay, maybe I can kind of do a little bit of 1-2. Maybe it's the tone. Maybe I don't like the consistency. I don't know. It just was weird. That's the main thing that I would say about it. It just was weird. It was like it kind of gave just a little bit of coverage, but you can build it up. But then next thing you know, it looked like you have on a mask on your face. And then I could not find the perfect shade for me for the life of me. Of course, I did buy this during this time where Sephora's like, you know what, nobody can touch anything. So that added to the level of difficulty in selecting a shade for myself. But I can kind of look at it and say, okay, based on that undertones description and the way that it's looking and the model that they used, I can kind of gather that that would be my shade. And so when I put it on my face, it was like, it just wasn't vibing with me. So I'm putting it in the fails. In the video, I was like, you know what? It's not the worst foundation that I've ever tried. And it's not. It's like just there. But then also when I put it on my face, it's just kind of sitting there. So it's something that's forgettable. It's something that I don't ever have to use again. And the reason why I put it in this video is because I just felt like it was just strange. And it didn't give me what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a serum-y type foundation. And it felt like that, but without any of the added benefits. It was like a serum for no reason. It wasn't helping your skin. It was just in the way. I just wanted to take it off my face by the end of the day. So that's why I ended up in the fails. I was done with it. No. Next is the Bobbi Brown Skin Long Wear Powder Foundation. Now, this is not a powder foundation, but it is a liquid foundation that turns into a powder. Are you all familiar with that concept, like a liquid to powder or cream to powder? You know, that was really popular back in the 90s, but now not so much. And I was really excited for it because I do like that finish because it gives you a nice velvety finish. And that's something that's a little bit rare nowadays. But honey, that foundation, it was not it. And same thing like with the first one, the Bite Beauty one. Why did it go on and feel thick and it felt like it was doing something, but then in turn it wasn't. It was just sitting on top of my face, and then I still saw all of my imperfections. I can deal with a little bit of oxidation. I can deal with not having my exact color. But if something feels heavy, but it's not giving me that nice caked look that I'm looking for, then I'm going to have a problem with it, because if I have to layer it, my skin will literally feel like it's buried underneath sand, or literally like somebody is baking a cake on my face. So I just don't like that. I'm not a fan of that foundation. It dried down super dry, and I say that it crossed over from being powdery and into chalky, because the way that it set down, it just looked a little ashy, and it didn't have anything to do with the color, because in Bobbi Brown's world, whatever color you wear in one foundation, you'll wear that kind of over in the next foundation. I do find that they are consistent in their shades, but as far as that formulation, baby, no ma'am. And it's very rare that I have a complete miss from Bobbi Brown, but I feel like since she's left the company, the heart of the company has left too, and we've been getting products like that one, and that one is just no bueno. It's like, how are you gonna be dry and no coverage? No. Next is concealer, and again I'm gonna have to bring it back to Rare Beauty, and this one is the Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. They can take that adjective out, brightening, because it didn't brighten my day. I don't know whose day it brightened, but it wasn't mine. That concealer was so runny. Like, I've never had an over easy concealer. It's like you put it on your face and it's like, you got to kind of tilt your head back so it'll stay where you put it and blend it out, and then it's kind of dripping over here. It's like it's crying tears. The concealer in and of itself was tearing up on your face because it knew that it wasn't good enough. To me, the concealer was running for a reason. It was trying to run off of my face and tell me, girl, do not put this underneath your eyes because it's going to crease so badly. It was so creasy. It was just so bad. And I feel like that was the general consensus. Like, even if you are the biggest Selena Gomez fan, you can set that little tidbit aside and look at the fact of what it is. Look at the product. Take out the emotional factor. Look and see how it's treating you. Look at how your skin looks. The general consensus was that concealer was just not it. She needs to reformulate. There needs to be a thickening agent in there. Maybe add a little bit of flour in the mix. I don't know. Whatever it is that you need to do. But that one just was not it. So I will never put that back on my face again. Absolutely not. That just might be the worst concealer that I ever tried in the history of makeup. Next is the Too Faced Instant Coverage Peach Perfect Concealer. This is an example of a company going too far. Too Faced has taken the peach thing and they have not only run with it, but they've run a marathon with it. It's like, Too Faced, let it go. This one was a little bit too peachy in my opinion, because when I put it on my skin, I shouldn't still smell peach hours and hours and hours later. It's not a fragrance, it's a concealer. And furthermore, the concealer is just really thick, so it's almost like you're putting peach pie underneath your eye if you choose to put it there. And for somebody like me, I have very sensitive eyes, and so if I have something that fragrant, my eyes are prone to tear up, and that is what they did. And so as a result of that, the concealer was creasing everywhere. It was going away. I mean, I got the coverage, but at what cost? Next is a Beauty Blender concealer. This one is the Beauty Blender Bounce Airbrush Liquid Whip Concealer. And for a name of a product to be that long, you would think that it's about to bring that fire. They said that it is a bounce concealer. So I'm thinking it's going to have a little bit of a bouncy texture to it. It's supposed to be airbrushed, so I'm looking for flawlessness. It's supposed to be liquid, so I'm looking for an ease of usability. And then it said it's supposed to be whipped, so I'm looking for my under eye to just completely look like I Facetune smoothed it in real life. I didn't get any of that. I got super cakey, non-coverage, thick for no reason, weird applicator, concealer, hot messness. That's what I got. I was not impressed at all because Beauty Blender was not even in the makeup game as far as creating products at first. And so for you to step out of your comfort zone to not only just make the sponges, but to also make foundation and concealer, and that's what your debut is, I need you to come harder than that. So it's like, if you're gonna create a product, at least make sure that it works well with the tools that you have. So how are you gonna go from making super great tools to now making makeup and it's subpar, and I now have to use your tools with somebody else's makeup? That doesn't add up. Powders. I only have one, and that failure is the Urban Decay Stay Naked powder. Did they mean to name it Stay Dry? Because it was dry. I mean, if you're going to be naked, you at least need to be a little bit of supple. You need to have a little bit of lusciousness to yourself. It cannot just be this super dry powder. And I was just not expecting that, because I feel like in the past, Urban Decay has had a nice velvety selection of powders. And so they've taken pretty much all of their main powders away and they've reformulated. And so for it to be a powder foundation, I'm looking for something that is going to have a nice amount of coverage, is going to feel velvety, and it's not going to look drying on the skin. But instead, what they gave us was a super, super dry powder, and going on top of makeup, it just made it look heavier, and then wearing it by itself, it made you look ashy. So I just was not impressed with that. And at this point, Urban Decay has been in the game for such a long time that I was like, you should know better than this. But yet they didn't do better than this. I don't see anybody's skin type that this will work for, because I have combination skin. So at the very least, I should be able to wear it in my T-zone area without feeling like it's super, super dry. But no. So therefore, anybody who has dry skin, you stay so far away from this that you don't even look at it when you're in the store. Like when you're in the store, you should be like this, like you're on Bird Box. Like put your blindfolders on and walk right on past it, because this is not going to work for you. Highlighters. Hourglass tried it again. So this is their Ambient Lighting Infinity Powder. And I bought this because the picture on the website looks completely different than the products that I received. And I did a completely dedicated video about this product, and I felt like I was hoodwinked. I'm like, what is this? I even had to call them and ask them to update their imagery to better reflect the products that I received in the mail, because this don't look like that. Like, that's what I said. I'm like, how are you going to advertise this bronzy, almost gold-leaning highlighter that is supposed to be an infinity powder, so it's going to infuse a few of your formulas together to make it to be like this universal glow powder? But then when I get it, it looks like you mix together some mud, chalk, and a little bit of cement, and then you're like, here's your powder. No, here's your powder. They need to update who they have behind the scenes, because they need some help, because what they've been coming out with is not it. Next is a product that I'm sure is not new, but I tried it and I was like, what is this? It is the Lxmi Nailodica Goddess Glow highlighter, which is like an illuminator. It's a liquid product. And so when I put it on my skin, I was like, okay. I felt so underwhelmed. So underwhelmed. I was expecting something to be a little bit more blinding, something to give me a little bit of powwow, and it just was like, bing, bing, bing. Like, it didn't really do anything. And then putting it on as an extra step just wouldn't make sense for me. It didn't give me any type of glow. It didn't give me any type of moisture. It just felt like I was doing something extra for no reason. And I actually just uploaded a video where I was talking about some products that I picked up from the Sephora savings event for winter 2020. And that video I uploaded a little bit later. So I've had it for a while, and every time I use it, I'm just like, Nah, fam. Blush wise, I only have one blush, and that is the Dior Holiday Blush from 2020. I just thought it would be a little bit more user friendly for me than it was, but it wasn't. It definitely had a strong undertone of whiteness to it, and putting it on my skin, it looks very much so chalk-like. It didn't give me any type of depth, and it just sat on top of my skin, so it didn't blend out beautifully. It was super dry. It almost felt like dust going on my skin, and I just was not in love with that. So that's why it ended up here, and that was a real disappointment because I feel like Dior knows what to do with their powders, because the way that they have reformulated a lot of the things in their line, it reflects that. But that thing right there was like, did y'all just add this on at the last minute? Because that's what it felt like. A last minute, like, oh yeah, you remember that blush back in the corner? Yeah, the one that we were supposed to release in 2008. Yes, we still have those. Go ahead and add it in this collection. Okay, cool. Yeah, they'll buy it. It doesn't matter that it doesn't go. It's fine. They'll buy it. That's what that felt like. Next is the category of eyeshadow palettes. And normally, I have 50 million palettes that have been fails. But this year, not so much. I only have about 5 here, which is probably the least amount of eyeshadow palettes that I've ever had in a fails video since I've ever been doing fails videos. So the first one, I kind of feel bad about putting in here just because I like this person so much, but I have to look at just the products because it's not a personal thing. And so that palette is the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. And that one is such a fail to me because it just lacked pigmentation. I just felt like it was too sheer. When I was applying it, I had to build it up a lot. And even though it looked like a nice basic palette to have, it just didn't perform like how I needed it to. And it gave me Viseart Neutral Matte Tease. I wasn't expecting it to perform the same way. I just needed it to perform, and it didn't really give me anything. Next, I feel like if you use these products, you'll agree with me about this one. So this is the Huda Beauty Pastel Obsessions mini palettes, and it was 3 of them, and all 3 of them were horrendous. And I used some words to describe these products in my video that I typically don't use. I said I hated them. I don't think I've ever said that in the history of my channel, that I just hated something. I said I hated them. And I called them trash. I'm sorry. That was harsh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay, because maybe to somebody they are somebody's treasure. But for me, they were easily tossable. I have not thought about these palettes until now when I was going back through and making my list of the products that I hated this year, basically. And this one was just something that I truly felt strongly about whenever I did my review, and I just don't like them. I feel like these were not well formulated. I mean, they were beautiful to look at, but as far as using them, I don't think they were good for anybody. Even though they were pastels and the color stories could work for anybody who was interested in pastels, it's just there was no depth to the colors. And there's a way to do pastels to be able to get them to look beautiful, and there's a way to just throw it together and then give it to people at a cheaper price point and just know that based on your popularity that people are going to buy it anyways. And I feel like Huda Beauty did the latter, and I was just not impressed. And I'm a person who likes the mini palettes because I adjust my expectations accordingly. Lastly is the Norvina Mini Palette Volume 3, the one with the cherries. That palette, again, it was so horrible. And I wasn't a huge fan of the mini palettes that I've tried from her because I just felt like they were a cash grab. They had a good amount of success with the larger palettes that they had come out with last year and the top of this year. And so I know that they wanted to do a continuation of that, but then make them smaller, which then makes them a little bit more travel friendly. But the way that they cut down on the quality, it was like, no. Because the larger palettes were already a bit of a step down in quality from Anastasia's typical 14 pan or 12 pan palettes that they come out with. These eyeshadows, I would say, were worse quality than like Coastal Scents eyeshadows. And we know, once you get into those eyeshadow palettes, the 100 pan eyeshadow palettes, you already know what it is when you get it. And that is what that was, but those were like that, but even more hard pressed. So it literally felt like a display palette. not good. Mascaras. So I am pretty much a mascara snob, okay? So with that being said, I'm very particular with the type of mascara that I like, the wand that I like. And so these two just, they didn't do it for me. So the first one is the Fenty Beauty Full Frontal Mascara. Now, I like this wand, and upon application, I like this mascara. It's the way that the mascara wears for me. It smudges so bad and it flakes so badly. I just am not a fan of that, and I just feel like it could have been better if it were a little bit more long wearing. But it never fails. About 2 or 3 hours after I have on this mascara, I'm going to look down and see those little black dots underneath my eyes. And I hate that. Like, that is the worst thing a mascara could do. And the Fenty Beauty mascara definitely does it. Along with this next mascara, which you all know I love Mother, but I do not get along with her mascaras. And so this one is the Dark Star Mascara. I don't like this mascara, and I don't like the first one that she came out with either. I just feel like they are smudgy mascaras. They don't last on me. The formulation flakes off on me. It doesn't matter if my eyes are normal and not tearing up that day, or if I'm having an episode where my eyes are being super sensitive. Either way it goes, it's gonna smudge and it's gonna flake. So I'm just not in love with that mascara. So I don't know what it is about her formulation that just does not do it for me, but the mascaras just don't do it for me. They just don't. So the last category that I have is something that I don't typically include in my fail videos, but I'm a huge fan of fragrance, and I try out so many different fragrances, and I want to incorporate more fragrance content on my channel. And so I wanted to add these in because I hate these. Kilian Love Don't Be Shy. I don't like that scent. It is nauseatingly sweet, in my opinion. Whenever I smell it, I literally have a stomach ache. It does not smell good to me. It almost makes my head hurt, and it is just so bizarre that it has such a cult following. It smells like candy and throw up to me, and I just don't like it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to be around it. I'm just not in love with it. I wish it were a little bit shyer. It's called Love Don't Be Shy, and I'm like, no, love, please be shy. I don't want to smell you. I don't like it. The next scent that just does not tickle my fancy is one by the brand Comme des Garçons. And this one is a new series that they're doing called Clash, where they're taking a few different ingredients that don't typically go well with each other, that quote unquote clash, and they make a fragrance out of it. And it's supposed to be something that is just different. And the blend is supposed to give you a little bit of a unique feel, but it's supposed to smell good. Okay, so the one that I got is the Vetiver and Radish Clash. And when I say it smelled so bad, it was a clash in the worst way. You know, I'm thinking they found a way to make it work. They did not. They could have left that where it was. It still was clashing and it still smelled bad. And I actually took this back to the store and I had to get some more opinions on this. So as I was returning it, I was telling the people at the store how bad it smelled. Everybody had to smell it, and the general consensus was that it smelled like Home Depot or Lowe's in the manure section. So it literally smelled like ish. So I was like, I can't walk around smelling like this. And I'm a person who enjoys masculine scents. So I think that this was intended for men, or it may be a unisex scent. But whatever, I don't let the labels define what I like to smell like. But that right there, nah fam. That clash was too serious for me. It had to go. So the last thing that I have on the list, and the last fragrance that I literally despise, is the newest scent that Tom Ford has created, Bitter Peach. I hate it. Literally hate it. And I am so surprised that I feel this strongly about it, because y'all know I love me some Tom Ford. But I've never found a Tom Ford scent that completely resonated with me and made me want to have it in my collection. I think that if I had to select one, I would pick Rose Prick. But it definitely wouldn't be Bitter Peach, because Bitter Peach smells so stinky to me. Don't think I don't like peach because I didn't like that Too Faced concealer and I don't like Bitter Peach. I do like some peach scents, but I don't think that I like it when it smells like a ripe, bitter peach like that. It smells rotten, and that is what this fragrance smells like. It smells like old peaches that have started to grow mold on them, that maybe have been sitting at the bottom of the refrigerator 2 months ago, and you open it up, and for some strange reason you smelled it. That is what bitter peach smells like to me. Just completely smells like BO. Ugh. So that's all, folks. These are all of my fails for 2020. Don't forget to let me know some of the products that you did not like down in the comment section. And like I said, if some of the products that I talked about are some of your all-time favorites, you know, enjoy your products and don't let me discourage you from using them. I just don't like these things. So I look forward to reading what you guys have to say. And make sure you subscribe to see more content that I have on the way, because your girl has new content that I will be dropping every single day. So check you all in my very next video, which will be tomorrow. Smooches. Bye.